First, we interest you to know that 15 states in Nigeria, like you rightly mentioned, do grow coffee. Unfortunately, almost 100%, maybe 95% of what we drink as a country is imported into our country by countries that don't even grow coffee.
Food and beverage company Nestlé South Africa in July showcased a new production plant at its site in Hammanskraal to locally produce the Nescafé Gold range of coffee mixes. The investment involved 79 million rand for new equipment and staff training for 27 new employees.
Africa grows some of the finest coffee beans in the world. Ethiopia, Uganda, Cote d'Ivoire. Our lands supply Europe and America with the rich flavors they can't get enough of. But for decades, Africans themselves barely touched coffee. They didn't even like the taste. So how did we move from being the farmers who shipped coffee abroad to become part of a $4.5 billion instant coffee market at home? That's where Nescafé comes in. Because Nescafé wasn't trying to sell us the fancy stuff and they didn't care if we thought coffee was bitter. Their genius move was not to sell coffee. They sold speed, energy, and convenience in one sachet. A quick fix in the middle of Lagos traffic. A sachet cheap enough for a student in Nairobi. A taste that could be drowned in milk and sugar but still carry the name coffee. And that's how they pulled it off. They took something people didn't like and made it part of daily African life. Today, every sachet, every roadside cup, every office break has brewed a fortune for Nescafé. $4.5 billion worth. In this story lies a huge irony. Africa did not birth cassava, but we eat it more than ever. Same thing with tomatoes, maize, and chili peppers. But when it comes to coffee, it's one of our very own wonderful creations that we have in excess. Ethiopia gave coffee to the world. Uganda, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, they all grow beans that end up in the cups of Europeans and Americans who swear by their cappuccinos and espressos. But if you looked inside Africa itself, we don't drink it ourselves. And I'm sure you want to know why, right? This is very simple. Coffee isn't our thing. It is bitter, foreign, and for most African farmers, it was just something you farmed and shipped out. At home, we drank tea, Milo, Ovaltine, Bonvita, things that felt familiar and very sweet. We also loved the easy way. But coffee, that was their drink, not ours. Welcome to AfriWealthWise. We ignite the spirit of financial independence and entrepreneurship in Africa's future billionaires. Whether you're building wealth from the ground up or scaling up your existing ventures, we are here to guide you towards financial freedom. If you're Nestlé and you've just launched your coffee brand Nescafé, how do you enter a continent where the product you are selling isn't even liked? This is where the takeover began. Nescafé didn't try to change us into Europeans who sat at cafes sipping bitter espresso. Instead, they studied the African way of life, the hustle, the rush, the small spending power, and they hacked the taste board. Instead of saying buy coffee, they said buy convenience. That was their first breakthrough. Because let's be honest, nobody in Nigeria, Kenya, or Ghana was about to start grinding beans at 6 a.m. before work. Who has the time? Who has the money? But instant coffee, tear a sachet, pour hot water and stir. And here's where the real genius comes in. Sachet. Africans invented the sachet economy long before economy started giving it fancy names. Pure water, Maggi cubes, powdered milk. Everything is broken down into the smallest unit your pockets can carry. Nescafé spotted that, and instead of pushing big jars of instant coffee, they went micro. A 20 naira sachet, a 50 shilling pack. This was something a student could buy after lectures or a bus driver could grab before a long trip. But hold up, there was still one problem: taste. Coffee is naturally bitter, and if there's one thing Africans don't mess with, it's bitterness in our drinks. So what did Nescafé do? They didn't fight it or try to change it. They simply sweetened it. With their 3-in-1 pack, they ensured that coffee, milk, and sugar blended together. You didn't have to like coffee to like Nescafé. You just had to like sweet, creamy drinks. And that we already did. And then came the branding. Think about this. The red mug, the TV jingles, the road signs near bus stops, the student ambassadors on campuses. They branded coffee as the symbol of admission. Break time in the office, let's make it Nescafé. Cramming overnight for exam, Nescafé. Waiting for customers in the market stall, Nescafé. This is the final breakthrough. They made themselves part of daily African rituals, and that's when the money started to flow. By 2019, the African coffee market was worth over $4.5 billion because they help Africans fall in love with bitter beans and reinvented coffee into something Africa could recognize, afford, and use. That's how Nescafé sold us a drink we didn't like and built an empire out of it. If you really want to understand African consumer behavior, just look at the streets. Look at what people are buying and how they are buying it. That's where you see the secret to how multinationals like Nestle cracks the code. Because Africa doesn't run on bulk purchases. Africa runs on sachets. Think about it. Pure water 50 naira, 20 shillings, 1 gulp at a time. Maggi cube, small enough to season 1 pot of soup, not 10. Milo, milk powder, even alcohol, all broken down into sachet. Why? Because most people don't earn monthly salaries. They earn daily. They spend as they earn. Most times, there's no saving for a jar of coffee or a family-sized tin of milk. You buy only what today's pocket can carry. That daily income reading created the sachet economy. And if you think it's just about poverty, you're wrong. It's about giving access. Sachet give you the dignity of participation that you might not afford a jar, but you can afford a taste and you can belong. And this is where Nescafé made their mark. When they first tried selling coffee in tins, it barely moved. It was too foreign, too expensive. But once they repackaged it into tiny sachets, suddenly the barriers disappeared. And here's the deeper genius. Apart from the fact that the sachet offered affordability, it solved distribution. A big jar of coffee belongs in a supermarket, but a sachet that can live anywhere. In a mama put shop, in the kiosk on the corner, in the hands of a hawker weaving through traffic. The sachet took coffee out of the air-conditioned aisles of ShopRite and dropped it right into Africa's street. That's how skeptics became customers and customers became loyal drinkers. By the 2010s, the numbers spoke loudly, and Nestle Instant Coffee division in Africa was pulling in hundreds of millions annually, contributing to the global instant coffee industry worth over $30 billion. And in Nigeria alone, millions of sachets moved daily, each one a tiny profit margin that added up to a river of money. So when you see that small red sachet at a roadside store, understand this. It's not just packaging, it's also a strategy. It's also proof that in a continent where money comes small and fast, the smallest unit can build the biggest fortunes. The sachet economy is the reason Nescafé succeeded where others failed. No empire is built without setbacks. And for all of Nescafé's brilliance in Africa, their journey wasn't smooth. They faced cultural walls, economic barriers, even health debates that could have killed their coffee dream. But the magic of their success is in how they turned those problems into opportunities. Let's start with the problem of price. A tin of coffee was too expensive for the average household, And Africa is a continent where disposable income is slim. Nescafé solved that with sachet, but here is a deeper point, is that the sachet turned Nescafé into a daily product, not a monthly one. Instead of one big purchase, they earned millions of small ones, steady, reliable and scalable. But there was another problem, the taste itself. Coffee is naturally bitter, and bitterness is not a beloved flavor here. Africans lean towards sweetness. Our drinks were cocoa-rich, sugar-heavy, milk-based. How do you sell bitterness to a sweet tooth population? You don't. You simply mask it. Nescafé introduced 3-in-1 packs, coffee, sugar, and milk powder in one sachet. It tasted creamy, sweet, and almost like Milo's older cousin. And suddenly, the bitterness was hidden, and coffee became palatable to millions. There were health criticisms too. Rumors spread that coffee caused insomnia, ulcers, or spoils the blood. Tea had always been seen as gentle and safe, but coffee carried suspicion. Nestle countered with marketing that associated coffee not with danger, but with modernity and strength. Campus reps gave out free sachets during exams, and office break rooms were stocked with branded kettles. Finally, there was a challenge of competition. Local tea and cocoa brands were deeply entrenched. But here's the thing Nescafé didn't do. They didn't try to replace them. Instead, they carved out a new ritual. Tea was for comfort, and Milo was for children. But Nescafé? That was for the hustlers, the dreamers, the workers who needed to stay awake. By giving coffee its own lane, they avoided fighting cocoa head-on. Piece by piece, Nescafé disarmed every obstacle. And the result? A continent that once turned his nose at coffee now drinks billions of cups of instant coffee every year. A market once impossible is now worth over 4.5 billion naira and leading that market. Wearing its iconic red mug is Nescafé. If you look closely, Nescafé's success in Africa was about finding a way into a market that didn't want them and staying there long enough to change the culture. What Nescafé pulled off here is the oldest truth in business, that you don't force people to want your product. You bend your product until it feels like it belongs in their lives. And once it belongs, it's almost impossible to take it away. And that leaves us with a bigger question. What other industries are sitting on their own coffee problem, waiting for someone bold enough to sachet it into relevance? AfriWealthWise is all about helping Africans spot those hidden doors and step into them with confidence. If you're serious about building wealth, join the community, hit subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this with someone who needs that extra push.